Hello and welcome to This Week, a weekly news program. I'm your host, Taner Rabater. And for top stories for this week we have the Pledge for Equal Representation in Decision-Making International Forum was organized at the Government Palace on Tuesday. The representatives of Great Britain expressed their willingness to cooperate in reducing congestion in Mongolia, and for the news, stay tuned. The International Forum, the Pledge for Equal Representation at the Decision-Making, was organized in Ulaanbaatar on April 10th through 11th. The forum was organized by the United Nations Development Programme with the support of Korea's International Cooperation Organization, or KOICA, and was held on April 11th at the Government Palace on the topic of legal reforms to ensure gender equality at the decision-making level. The State House of Mongolia hosted the Pledge for Equal Representation in Decision-Making International Forum on April 11th. The forum aimed to address a pressing issue of gender equality in decision-making process and promote the inclusion of women's voices in policy-making and legislation. The forum was opened by Zandan Shatter, Speaker of Parliament, who highlighted the importance of gender equality as one of the key commitments of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. He emphasized that half of the implementation period of the SDGs has already passed since its adoption in 2015, and it's crucial to accelerate progress towards achieving gender equality by 2030. Mongolia is a country that adheres to the approach of gender in development and has set important goals to address issues such as family violence, participation of girls in the labor market, and gender disparities. However, the implementation of these goals has been hindered by various challenges, including the pandemic situation. During the forum, representatives led by Ms. Elaine Kankevich, the resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme, and Fernand Casal-Bertois, associate professor of the University of Nottingham, exchanged views on the current status of gender equality in Mongolia and discussed the ways to promote women's participation in decision-making process.
So thank you very much. UNDP is very pleased with KOICA to be supporting this international forum. Today's session is focused very much on changes to the electoral legislation, so ensuring that the amendments that are done to the law on elections and the law on political parties bring about equal representation of women and men in the elected positions in the national parliament in Mongolia and the local parliament in Mongolia. Women make up 51% of Mongolia's population, and therefore it is their right to be equally represented in the parliament. And the international experience has shown that instituting quotas in the electoral legislation, and a higher quota the better, will bring better results of women being elected through the system. And therefore, many countries have proposals for 50% quotas, some have 40%, others have less. And the international experts recommend that having a higher quota, 40 or 50%, would be the best model, because that is the single highest determinant to really help to ensure that women reach parity in elections in a particular country.
I think, that is a very significant and important event, because we have seen that not only women but also male are committed to guarantee, gender equality and change the legislation in order to promote the participation of women in politics.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Good day.
Well, I think that with the pledge that has been signed yesterday, there is a huge opportunity to put the first stone into this pyramid that will lead to a better representation of women, change, of course, the electoral law and the party law, and this will be also very important in order to try to convince, the citizenship of the importance of women and change, the political culture of the country.
According to gender statistics, Mongolia is ranked 113 out of 146 countries in the world in terms of gender differences in political participation, as issued by the World Economic Forum. As of January 1st, 2023, the average percentage of women in parliaments worldwide is 26.5%, while in Asia it is 21.2%. However, in Mongolia, only 17% of women are represented in the National Assembly, indicating the need of significant changes to ensure gender equality in decision-making processes. The forum highlighted the importance of the Council as a mechanism that allows women parliamentarians to voice their opinions and actively participate in the lawmaking and drafting processes. Through this Council, it is possible to proactively include women's perspectives and gender issues in all legislation, thus promoting equal representation in decision-making.
I think the challenges that Mongolia faces in terms of gender equality are not unique to Mongolia. Women all around the world face similar challenges. The complexity of those challenges could be different, the magnitude of those challenges could be different, but something that we all grapple with is the stereotypical perception of the fact that, or the perception that women are supposed to stay home and they are better caregivers, and as a result they should be the one who should be tending to the household and tending to the kids. So that's very basic, but it's everywhere, even in the most advanced countries. The second challenge is definitely when you talk about political participation of women, the other challenge is really about the type of electoral law and type of electoral systems that you have in the country, whether they are encouraging women to participate in politics or not. And something that I really closely look at is funding of political campaigns. So elections everywhere are getting very expensive, particularly in majoritarian kind of systems where you need a lot of money to campaign. And women often, given their socioeconomic conditions, given the lack of employment opportunities, given the lack of ownership of land or house or anything of property, women often do not have the resources to go out there and campaign as widely as men. On top of that, they also don't have access to the moneyed networks, so they often do not get enough private funding that men often could have access to.
The forum concluded with a commitment from the participants to continue working towards achieving gender equality in decision-making processes in Mongolia. The government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also announced plans to organize a meeting and conference of female foreign ministers in June, further promoting the support and development of women in the country. The pledge for equal representation in decision-making international forum served as a platform to address the urgent need for gender equality in Mongolia and reaffirmed the country's commitment to achieving the SDGs and ensuring women's active participation in decision-making processes. With concerted efforts from various stakeholders, Mongolia aims to make significant progress towards gender equality by 2030 and create a more inclusive and equitable society. On Tuesday, the head of the Independent Authority Against Corruption and Chief Commissioner Dashtawa presented the draft of the National Anti-Corruption Program and Strategy to the Speaker of Parliament, Standing Shatter. At the beginning of the meeting, the head of the Independent Authority Against Corruption and Chief Commissioner Dashtawa, in connection with the expiration of the National Anti-Corruption Program, approved by Resolution No. 51 of 2016 of the Great Council of Mongolia, the Law on Development Policy, Planning and its Management, as well as anti-corruption based on various articles and provisions in the law, the project National Anti-Corruption Program, National Anti-Corruption Strategy is being developed and presented for approval within the scope of its goals, objectives and implementation activities. He said National Anti-Corruption Program and Strategy formulates a total of 10 goals, 45 objectives and 225 activities. The program to be implemented between 2023 and 2030 is aligned with the implementation period of Mongolia's medium-term development target programs. It was emphasized that citizens and public's opinions will be reflected more. For example, 8 objectives have been identified to strengthen the corruption-free public service that is trusted by the public. 5 objectives have been identified to strengthen effective control and participation of citizens, civil society and media in anti-corruption activities. In addition, he said goal number 7 was defined as reducing the risk of corruption in budgeting and procurement and completely closing the possibility of theft, embezzlement and waste. The draft program is based on more than 40 laws, including the criminal law, the anti-corruption law, the law on the regulation of public and private interests in the public service, and the prevention of conflict of interest, as well as recommendations from international financial sanctions and development organizations and domestic corruption. According to the Media and Public Relations Department of the State Parliament, they have researched and developed evaluation reports, analysis, and recommendations of the state law enforcement agencies. The regular meeting of the government was held on April 12. At the meeting, the draft revisions of the law on political parties initiated by the President of Mongolia, Khursokhna, the implementation of measures to reduce traffic congestion in the capital city, the measures to be taken regarding Itnes Town Tolgho Joint Stock Company, Town Tolgho Thermal Power Plant were discussed. 29 issues were planned to be discussed and familiarized with, including some measures to intensify the implementation of the projects. The company that won the tender will pay 70%, and the Itnes Town Tolgho company will pay the remaining 30%, or about $180 million, over a period of 3 years. At first, the 300-megawatt station of Town Tolgho Thermal Power Plant will be built and put into operation. And if the consumption becomes constant and reliable, the next 105-megawatt station will be built.
Эхний ээлжин дээр 300
If the 300 megawatt station of Tauntola thermal power plant is built in the first place, it will be providing 1.3 billion kilowatts annually. It is estimated the Oyototo underground mine will use 2 billion kilowatts once it's fully operational. So far, we will provide 1.3 billion kilowatts internally. The remaining requirement will be supported by the existing Inner Mongolian system. 187 billion MNT funding for the construction of highways and road facilities to reduce traffic congestion was decided at today's cabinet meeting. 16.4 km of access roads and 963.7 km of bridge facilities are planned in 11 locations for Ulaanbaatar city, and 4.3 km of road construction is planned to be completed in 4 different locations. With this 187 billion MNT funding solution, we can reduce traffic congestion without building any new major roads. As a part of the silt recovery project, a retaining wall will be built along the river in the capital from Sonsoklan Road to Damdarja Park. And a public transport route will be built consisting of 21.6 km of highways, 18 access bridges, 4 bridge facilities, 9 tunnels and 43.2 km of sidewalk and bicycle path, as well as 64 public transport stops. We had only one crossroad, so now this road will be built along the Silp River, 22 km on both sides or 44 km in total, and public and private vehicles will be able to travel freely, and 3 large bridges will be built as part of this project. There is a provision in the budget law of Mongolia that does not pay a salary to a retired person. Nevertheless, today there are 6,161 people who receive both a pension and salary from the state budget. According to recent research, the budget spends 7.5 billion MNT per month and about 30 billion MNT per year on wages. 156 people receive a double salary, even though their pensions have been set as special civil servants. Therefore, by stopping paying salaries to people of retirement age, it will save about 31 billion MNT annually. Mr. Daniel Kavchensky, Member of the Parliament of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland and Trade Envoy to Mongolia, along with Philip Malone, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the United Kingdom to Mongolia, and other officials were cordially invited by Sukhwatr, the Minister of Mongolia and head of the National Road Traffic Congestion Committee, for a momentous meeting. The meeting took place on the auspicious occasion of the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the United Kingdom and Mongolia. During the meeting, the representatives from the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland expressed their delight in forging stronger ties with Mongolia and conveyed their keen interest in collaborating on new business projects. As a country that already cooperates with trade representatives from 35 countries across various domains, the United Kingdom affirmed its willingness to work together with Mongolia in addressing crucial issues such as traffic congestion in Ulaanbaatar city, improving infrastructure, increasing parking facilities, enhancing public transportation, and implementing large-scale infrastructure projects. Minister Sukhwatr, who is also the chairman of the National Committee for Reducing Traffic Congestion in Ulaanbaatar city, expressed his earnestness in learning from London's successful methods in mitigating traffic congestion. He further elaborated that apart from the congestion, the issue of decentralization policy in Ulaanbaatar city is also under discussion, and several significant projects are being planned to address these challenges. One such plan includes exploring the feasibility of constructing a new ring road and a highway along the Tul River to alleviate traffic congestion. Minister Sukhwatr also highlighted his commitment to presenting the draft on reducing the negative effects of traffic congestion of the Mongolian government and subsequently submitting it to the parliament for approval. Furthermore, Minister Sukhwatr drew inspiration from the congestion charging systems implemented in cities like London and Stockholm and expressed his willingness to learn from their experiences. He emphasized his readiness to collaborate with the United Kingdom on major development projects and utilize their expertise in tackling traffic congestion in Ulaanbaatar city. The meeting between the officials from the United Kingdom and Mongolia was marked by mutual enthusiasm and a shared commitment to fostering bilateral cooperation in various areas, particularly in addressing traffic congestion and improving infrastructure in Ulaanbaatar city. The discussion held during the meeting reflected the positive outlook of both countries towards deepening their diplomatic relations and working together for mutual prosperity. Made in Mongolia 2023 exhibition was organized in the Dundamun district of Seoul City in cooperation with the Department of Small and Medium Enterprises of Mongolia, Michal Expo, the Market of Dundamun district of the South Korea, and its Department of the Small and Medium Enterprises in Seoul City, South Korea. The purpose of this exhibition is to expand trade and economic cooperation between the two countries, connect entrepreneurs and producers with foreign markets, attract investors, and to promote the products of international producers. As a result, more than 20 enterprises representing wool, cashmere, sewing, handicrafts, and food producers participated in this exhibition. As part of the event, a business meeting was organized with the administration of Dundamun district and the Small and Medium Enterprise Department of the district to increase the potential for the export of Mongolian national products and to expand a business partnership between the two countries. More than 20 companies are participating, such as wool, cashmere, leather, food products, cosmetics, etc. We plan to hold this exhibition again in October and talked with the embassy as well as Dundamun district officials. This exhibition was held for the first time in 2019 and for the second time in 2022. Koreans are very interested in Mongolian cashmere products.
Now the trade turnover has reached about $700 million. During the Prime Minister's visit, the two sides agreed to start a free trade agreement between Mongolia and Korea, and this work is already underway. We have expectations that trade and investment will expand. Therefore, our small and medium producers have the opportunity to come to Korea and promote their products.
After last year's 2022 event, I visited Mongolia. I went to Mongolia and had an official meeting with the head of the Bengal district and Small and Medium Enterprises Department and signed a memorandum of understanding. The Dundamun district said that it will support this event, and I believe that the cooperation between the countries will deepen in the future.
Compared to previous years, this event is being held over a longer period of time. The number of participants and the number of products have doubled. We plan to hold this event twice a year.
As part of the Protecting the Rights of Mongolian Nurses 2023-2024 initiative, 280 nurses from Khinti, Sokhwatro and Dornet provinces underwent nursing and ethics training, as well as early cancer screening in Chingiz city of Khinti province. Being a nurse is one of the top 10 occupations in the world. Nevertheless, the healthcare sector in Mongolia doesn't have enough professional staff. Nurses point out that there are several reasons for this shortage. In particular, poor salary, weak social security, high workload, and difficult working conditions are the beginnings of discouragement from the profession of nursing.
We know that we must do our work. We will. But please increase our appreciation and provide us with a satisfactory living salary. The police and emergency services retire at the age of 45 and are set a pension at 80% of their salary. But doctors and nurses only receive a pension set at 45% of their salary. Today, our insufficient wages and labor shortages are the result of your wrong wage policies.
The Mongolian Nurses Association has declared this year as the Year of Protection of the Rights of Nurses. As part of this effort, the association, together with the Office of Member of Parliament Chimburung, met with nurses from all 21 provinces and 9 districts of Ulaanbaatar city and organized a campaign under the motto Legal Framework, Health and Nurses. In the local area, there has been a lot of organization of practical assessment of nurses in their careers to encourage them. For example, Dornet province successfully organized the I Am a Nurse competition for the second year, and the best 3 nurses were awarded with finance for housing. And in Khinti province this year, the same competition was announced, and the best 3 nurses will be selected at the end of the year, and they will be given an advance of 5 to 20 million MNT for jobs. Also, they will implement a program known as the Beehive program, where 10 local students will be enrolled in nurse preparation training. As part of the Health and Nurses campaign, oncology specialists from Ulaanbaatar city included nurses from 3 eastern provinces in early detection and diagnosis. The nurses who care for others and often forget themselves were satisfied with this work. Well, that's all for this week. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.